I've read that Swift has been testing blockchain technology. So I immediately was like, oh, is this the end game for CBDCs? Will every country be using CBDCs through Swift?
Mhm. Yeah. So, the Swift, and then just this week, they published a very comprehensive report about a 12-week program that they did with a CBDC sandbox. I haven't had the chance to read it in depth, but I see this as a positive move for things like interoperability. If you think about how these central bank digital currencies are going to have to interoperate and work together, we are a global economy. We're no longer just, oh, well, my dollar. So really, I see organizations like Swift, and Swift themselves have actually been part of the Hyperledger Foundation since 2016 when we were formed, because they want to be part of how they understand the technology is being used and being developed as well. So, we were happy to see that Swift actually selected one of our Hyperledger projects called Firefly for this sandbox project. And it's a middleware solution that kind of supports multiple DLTs. And for those of you who are not technical, there's a lot of flavors of distributed ledger technology that are being used in these CBDC projects. Hyperledger, Fabric, and Besu and Iroha continue to be some of the most adopted. But really, how does Swift enable the banks and the central bank digital currencies to operate? And it's a pretty interesting project. They're going to be certainly, part of the solution across some of these use cases. But as I mentioned before, there's so many different experiments and approaches. Some that are using distributed ledger technology, which is essentially blockchain, and some that are not, that are already in pretty progressive production cases as well around the globe. So I think it's interesting to see these experiments and to see who shows up to actually participate in these experiments as well. And you can take a look at that report and get more details.
So let's clarify a little bit, because this is very high level stuff, and I can see you're a world expert, which is amazing. That's why we're so happy to have you. But I think there's people who are still trying to follow the conversation, right? So for anyone who doesn't know, Swift, and maybe you can define it better, but like that's essentially the way it's almost like a bank. It's like a financial system for the banks themselves, right?
Mhm. Correct. Yep.
Okay, so essentially, it's really what you were saying before, and it's really all elements of banking and finance. We're really just trying to be like, okay, how do we upgrade the technology so everything moves more efficiently in every aspect of finance? Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not an expert in Swift, and I'm not an expert in that kind of the middlemen that the projects that they have. But it is an important part of the financial infrastructure. And as I said before, the technology is going to enable Swift, who's been doing this for many years, as well as other players, in order to enhance the way that they offer services to their customers, right, and their ecosystems, which are the banks as well. So, whether it's Swift or another use case, is how do you make sure that the technology is enabled, that it is interoperable, and that obviously that it, for us, very importantly, is done and developed in the open as well.
Right. And for anyone who doesn't know what interoperable means, it's really just incorporating all the different technologies, all the different cryptocurrencies, so that you can essentially use these protocols and technologies really everywhere, right? That's the goal.
Yeah. How do I take my, my digital asset and move it from one chain to another? How do I make sure that that's done as well?
Right. Especially when we have 20,000 cryptocurrencies, it'd be nice to be able to use all of them. But okay, let's go back a little bit to CBDCs and fiat, right? Because I'm very interested in this relationship. Like, what is the relationship between a CBDC and a country's fiat currency?
hmm So it essentially is a digital form of that currency. And once again, that means that a dollar is a dollar. And you won't be able to, if I give you a dollar, now it's your dollar. If I give you a digital representation of that dollar, that is now your dollar as well. So that's it really is the fiat is what the central bank holds, and it is what the digital currency is. You're not making new currency out of it. You're just creating a digital asset, a digital form of that currency that allows you to then move that money faster. That allows you to be able to, clearly identify who should be using which payment rails, basically throughout the payment system as well.